Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at AQA AS Psychology 2019 Paper 1 Examplar Answers for Memory, which you need to know for AQA A-Level Psychology. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Please note that these answers have been produced with knowledge of the mark scheme but have not been approved by the mark scheme themselves. There are 3 assessment objectives, AOs, in psychology. In this video they are color-coded. AO1 Knowledge, purple. AO2 Application, blue. AO3 Evaluation, red and green. In AS there are 12 mark questions, instead of 16 mark questions. For the purpose of this video and to avoid confusion for A-Level, the 12 mark questions have been turned into 16 mark questions. A teacher showed her Year 12 psychology class a video clip of a girl shopping in a busy high street with her boyfriend. Near the end of the clip, the girl had her handbag stolen by a man in a black jacket. Later, 10 of the students were interviewed about the events in the video clip using a cognitive interview. The remaining 9 students were interviewed using a standard interview. One technique used in the cognitive interview is that witnesses are asked to report everything. Question 1. Identify one other technique that could have been used by the teacher in the cognitive interview. Write down the instructions that the teacher might have read out to the students when using this technique. 3 marks. One possible technique is reverse order. Please tell me everything you can remember about the robbery, starting from the point the girl was robbed back to the beginning of the video. Question 2. Explain how the study might have been improved by using a random sample of students from Year 12. 4 marks. Using a random sample of Year 12 students would improve the study by making it more representative of the entire Year 12 student population. This helps reduce researcher bias, making the results more generalizable and reliable. Random sampling would also ensure every student has an equal chance of being selected, avoiding skewed results from only including certain types of students. This enhances the study's validity and applicability to all Year 12 students. Each student was assigned a score based on the accuracy of their answers to the questions in the interview. The results can be seen in Table 2. Table 2 accuracy scores for students in the standard and cognitive interview conditions. Question 3. Calculate the mean accuracy score for the cognitive interview condition. Give your answer to 2 significant figures. 3 marks. 13 plus 13 plus 11 plus 8 plus 11 plus 14 plus 11 plus 13 plus 15 plus 18 is equal to 127. 127 divided by 10 is equal to 12.7. Answer equals 13. Question 4. Briefly outline one limitation of the cognitive interview. 2 marks. A limitation of the cognitive interview is that it is time-consuming. The cognitive interview requires a rapport to be established, takes much longer to conduct than the standard police interview as interviews have to be thorough and requires specialist training, which is pointed out by Kebbel and Wagstaff, 1999, many forces have not been able to provide more than a few hours of. This is a limitation because it suggests that the cognitive interview technique may not always be practical in situations where time is limited or in high-pressure situations or where law enforcement officials may not have the specialized training required to conduct such interviews effectively. Kai and Neri were discussing a report of an armed robbery in the newspaper. Kai: I think all the witnesses would have trouble recalling what they had seen as the robbers were really dangerous. Neri: I'm not so sure. When I had a car accident I was in danger, but I was able to give lots of detail. Question 5. Discuss what research has shown about the effects of anxiety on eyewitness testimony. Refer to the conversation above in your answer. 16 marks. Anxiety has been suggested to have a negative effect on recall. Anxiety creates a heightened state of physiological arousal, As a person focuses on the anxiety-inducing and fearful stimuli, that a person becomes frozen to the extent in which they cannot pick up on any environmental cues, which prevents a person paying attention and worsens a person's recall. Kai's comment may be linked to research that shows anxiety reduces accuracy. Loftus, 1979, reported the findings of Johnson and Scott, 1976, who conducted an experiment to see if anxiety affects the accuracy of eyewitness testimony and facial recognition. Johnson and Scott invited participants to a laboratory where they were told they would be taking part in a laboratory study and were told to wait in the reception area. A receptionist who was seated nearby excused herself to run an errand, leaving the participant alone. The experiment used an independent group's design, and the participants were then exposed to one of two conditions. 1. Participants overheard a conversation in the laboratory about equipment failure followed by a man exiting holding a pen, no weapon condition. 2. Participants heard glass break and overheard a heated and loud exchange followed by a man exiting holding a paper knife covered in blood, weapon condition. Both groups were then shown 50 photographs and asked to identify the person who had left the laboratory. The participants were informed that the suspect may or may not be present in the photographs. They found that Condition 1, non-weapon condition, accurately identified the man 49% of the time, low anxiety, and Condition 2, weapon condition, accurately identified the man 33% of the time, high anxiety. They concluded that the extreme anxiety induced by the presence of a weapon narrows the focus of attention to the weapon and distracts a person's attention away from everything else that is happening, weapon focus effect. This impairs their ability to recall other details such as the perpetrator's face, leading to poorer eyewitness identification. Anxiety has been suggested to have a positive effect on recall. Anxiety triggers the fight or flight response, which increases alertness by widening the eyes and dilating the pupils, meaning the environment can be scanned for signs of danger to allow a person to locate the nearest escape route. Fear sends adrenaline to large muscles which can be called upon to either run away or stay and fight. A state of heightened alertness means that people are able to pick up on a host of sensory and situational cues in the environment, and it is this acute attention to detail which means that eyewitness, EW, anxiety may actually boost memory. Neri's comment may be linked to research that anxiety improves accuracy. Ewell and Cutshall, 1986, aimed to investigate whether the accuracy of eyewitness testimonies is affected by the stress of witnessing a crime, by conducting a field experiment focusing on a real-life incident involving a shooting robbery in a Vancouver gun shop. One person was killed and another person was seriously injured. 21 witnesses observed the shooting and were originally interviewed by investigating police, and 13 witnesses, aged between 15 and 32, agreed to take part in Ewell and Cutshall's follow-up research interview, 4 to 5 months later, which were then compared to the original police report taken right after the crime. In both sets of interviews, the eyewitnesses were asked to give their account and follow-up questions were asked. The researchers asked two misleading questions. Half the group were asked if they saw a broken headlight whilst the others were asked if they saw TG broken headlight. There was no broken headlight. Half the groups were asked if they saw a yellow panel on the car and the other half were asked if they saw a yellow panel. The panel was blue. The witnesses were then asked to rate their degree of stress on a scale of 1 to 7, as well as being asked if they had had any emotional problems since the event. The researchers collected approximate over 1,000 details compared to the police who collected approximate 650. They found that the eyewitness testimonies where participants reported high levels of stress were the most accurate even after several months, with all major details of their reports remaining the same and only minor details, including estimates of age, height, and weight changing. They also found that misleading leading questions had little effect on the participant recall, with 10 of the participants said there was no yellow panel and no broken headlight. They concluded that the level of stress experienced by the witnesses during the incident did not significantly affect the accuracy of their recall, and eyewitness testimonies can be reliable in high-stress situations. The real-life context and the emotional involvement of the witnesses might contribute to the accuracy of their memories. Deffenbacher, 1983, reviewed 21 studies and suggested that the relationship between anxiety and the accuracy of eyewitness testimony follows an inverted U as proposed by the Yerkes-Dodson, 1908, curve hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, when anxiety is at a moderate amount, it is at an optimal level and produces the most accurate and detailed eyewitness testimony. However, too much or too little anxiety reduces the accuracy of the eyewitness testimony. A limitation of Yerkes-Dodson's hypothesis is that it is too simplistic to explain the impact of anxiety on eyewitness accounts. Fazey and Hardy, 1988, proposed the catastrophe theory, which may provide a more comprehensive explanation for the conflicting findings regarding the effects of anxiety on eyewitness testimony on a three-dimensional scale. This model encompasses performance, physiological arousal, and cognitive anxiety as well. The model posits that as physiological arousal exceeds the moderate optimum level, unlike the Yerkes-Dodson curve, which exhibits a gradual decline, they observed a significant drop in performance. This decline, according to the model, is attributed to heightened mental anxiety and worry. However, distinguishing between anxiety and stress in an individual would be challenging and subjective. This is a limitation because it suggests that the relationship between anxiety and performance is linear, failing to account for the complexities involved in how different types of anxiety can impact eyewitness testimony. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.